Wow, I can hardly believe it's the year 2020. How did that happen? Hi friends, Steve here and yet another cemetery. And if you read the title, then you know who I'm going to be searching for today. So I'm glad you're coming along. Thanks for joining me on another trip to visit the most memorable cemeteries, memorials, and gravesites. Today's cemetery visit is for all of you fans of the 1970s and 80s TV sitcom Alice and one of its stars, actor Vic Tayback. He's laid to rest here at Forest Lawn in the Hollywood Hills, and I'm going to show you his gravesite and a few others. You may remember that actor Vic Tayback played Mel Sharples, the owner of the diner where Alice worked. The TV series, which ran from 1976 to 1985, was based on the 1974 movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and Tayback appeared in the movie as well as the TV show. He was nominated for an Emmy for his role in the show, and he was also nominated 5 times for the Golden Globe Award, and won twice. He appeared in nearly 100 movies and TV shows during his career, but he'll probably always best be remembered for his role as Mel on Alice. Tayback was born on January 6, 1930, in Brooklyn, New York, and died May 25, 1990, in Glendale, California, from a heart attack at the age of 60. And he's laid to rest here in the Sheltering Hills section at Forest Lawn in the Hollywood Hills. It's just inside the gates, up the hill a little bit to the right. It's near the curb and pretty easy to find, but I added a GPS anyway to make it even easier for those of you planning to visit in person. Sadly, a week or so after I visited Tayback's gravesite, actor Phillip Mckeon, who played Alice's son Tommy on the show, passed away at the young age of 55. His Wikipedia page says he died following a long illness, but didn't specify what the illness was. And his Find a Grave memorial page says his final resting place is unknown at this time. In my experience, I've noticed that it typically takes about 6 months to a year before the final resting places of famous people are announced or discovered. Mckeon was born on November 11, 1964 in Westbury, New York, and died just recently on December 10, 2019 in Wimberley, Texas. If anyone knows or discovers where he's laid to rest, please share with us in the comments section below. After the show ended, Mckeon continued to act in films and even to direct a couple of films, and in later years worked in radio. I remember watching the show back in the 1970s and 80s, and at the time I had no idea that he was the older brother of actress Nancy Mckeon, who played Joe the Tomboy on the popular TV sitcom The Facts of Life, which aired from 1980 to 1988. Now that I know, I can definitely see the family resemblance. Actor Marvin Kaplan, who played Henry, one of the diner regulars, died from natural causes at the age of 89 in Burbank, California on August 25, 2016. Some of you might even remember him as the voice of Choo Choo on the 1961 and 62 popular animated TV series Top Cat. He's buried at Mount Hebron Cemetery in Flushing, New York. Actress Beth Howland, who played the dingy waitress Vera, died from lung cancer in Santa Monica, California on December 31st, 2015 at the age of 74. She was cremated and has no final resting place to visit at this time. Actress Celia Weston, who played Jolene, is now 68 years old. Actress Holliday, who played the bigger-than-life Flo, who nearly stole the show with her famous line, "Kiss my grits," is now 82 years old. Actress Diane Ladd, who played Belle, is now 84 years old. And the star of the show, Linda Lavin, who played Alice, like Holliday, she's also now 82 years old. So do you remember the show? And did you have a favorite character? They each created very memorable roles. And this week I received photos from Noel Reed Jr. from the gravesite of actor Donal Bexley. I'm sure lots of fans will remember Bexley for his role as Bubba Hoover on the very popular TV show Sanford & Son. Bexley died at the age of 87 on April 15, 1997 in Hampton, Virginia, where he's now laid to rest at Hampton Memorial Gardens. Thanks, Noel, for sharing your visit with us today. Troy Plank sent me this photo from the gravesite of Charles Arthur Floyd, who was also known as Pretty Boy Floyd. Even though he was a notorious bank robber during the Great Depression of the 1930s, the media promoted him as a modern-day Robin Hood and nicknamed him Pretty Boy Floyd. He died in a shootout with the FBI in East Liverpool, Ohio on October 22, 1934, at the young age of 30. He's buried at Akins Cemetery in Akins, Oklahoma. Troy, who sent me this photo, says that he lived near the cemetery for about 50 years and one day decided to see if he could find Floyd's gravesite. He had no idea where the gravesite was located, so he just parked in a random spot in the cemetery and walked about 75 feet before finding Floyd's headstone. I guess I need to start doing what Troy did, since my experience is usually just the opposite. Even when I have pictures, directions, and a GPS, it still can take me hours to find the gravesites I'm looking for. Rick Brawley sent me this photo from the gravesite of Robert F. Stroud. Stroud was another criminal with a very famous nickname. He was known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. He received the nickname because he was allowed to raise birds in his jail cell. The story was so unusual that in 1962, it was turned into a movie starring actor Burt Lancaster. And the popular movie went on to turn Stroud into a celebrity as well. I guess Pretty Boy and the Birdman are just two more examples of Hollywood and pop culture blurring the lines between good guys and bad guys. After spending 54 years in prison, Stroud died at the age of 73 in Springfield, Missouri on November 21, 1963. He's buried at Masonic Cemetery in Metropolis, Illinois. So thank you, Troy and Rick, for sharing your gravesite visits with us today as well. And I also want to thank my latest Patreon supporter, Melissa Baldwin. And I want to give a special shout out to Kip Piper, a recent Patreon supporter, who just made an extremely generous contribution increase. Thank you so much, Melissa and Kip. So if you enjoyed today's visit, I have many more that you might also want to watch, like these. So until our next trip together to the graveyard, thanks for sharing the memories, everyone.